Let's move. Okay. Be'ezrat Hashem, we're starting Daf Mem Aleph. We're almost ready to finish this business of Bishul. Let's start from the top of the page. Va'amar Rabbi Zera. Now we have a little bit of a break. Ana hazite le Rabbi Abhu. I saw Rabbi Abhu. Sheheniach yadav. He put his hand keneged panav shel mata, opposite his lower face. The panim shel ma'ala is your face. Panim shel mata is the privates. Velo yadana. So what was he talking about, Rashi? Sheniach yadav keshehaya rochetz. He was in the mikveh. He was in the bath. He wanted to give himself some privacy, so he put his hand to block. Velo yadana inaga ilo naga. I'm not sure if he wound up touching his privates or not. Says the Gemara, Pshita de lo naga. Of course he didn't touch. The Tanya we learned. Rabbi Eliezer says, Kola ohez ba'ama umashtin. Whoever holds on the ama and urinates ki'ilu mevi mabul ha'olam. It's like he's bringing a mabul. So it's a nice mashal, yani play on words. But Rashi explains, Shemit hamim, because he's going to warm himself up. Ubali de keri, and he might come to keri. V'zeh kilkulo shel dora mabul. That was the sin of the dora mabul. Motzi'im shechvat zera lebatala. How do I know that? D'chtiv ki hishchit kol basar. That's milashon hashchatat zera or v'shichet arza that it says by Eren Onan. So since the sin of the dora mabul was zera lebatala, and that he's doing something that could also cause zera lebatala, so that's why he said ki ilu mevi mabul ha'olam. It's like he's bringing a mabul to the world. So therefore, how could it be that he would touch when he was put panav keneged, put his hand keneged panav shel mata? Amar Abaye says, asauhu kevoleshet. They made it like a boleshet, like troops. Meaning, let's see the case. The Tanan we learned boleshet shenichnes alayir, a group of army. Let's see. No, we'll see. Boleshet is a troop. Shenechnesa la'ir, that came into the city, b'shat shalom, when they came. So they go through, they mevalesh, they search everything. They turn everything over, like God forbid a guy walks in after they robbed the house, right? You see everything's upside down. The boleshet, they're bolesh. They're searching, they're checking, they're looking, they're going to find. Is inspector. So they're bolshim, they're searching, right? So, b'shat shalom, if they come in when it's peace, haviyot petuchot asurot. Any barrel of wine that's open is asur, because hadoli, they checked it, they stuck their hands in, they looked if there's diamonds in there, they tasted, they shook it. Nesech. Setumot, if it's closed, so he clearly didn't open. There's no question he didn't close it again. Mutarot. B'shat milchama, but when there's a war, elu ve'elu mutarot. Even the open ones are mutar. Why? He doesn't. Enlo penay lenasech. He doesn't have time to search through. He go fast. He can't get in, get out. Right? The fish enlo penay lenasech. Alma we see. Kivan de beiti. Since he's scared, they're scared in the war. Lo menasche. They're not going to make the nisuch. Hachinami. So to over here. Kivan de ba'it. Since he's scared. Lo atil hirhure. He's not going to come to hirhur, and even if he'll touch, it's not going to be asur. Why is he scared? V'hacha mai bi'atuta. What's he scared of? In the war, I understand, there's people shooting. Bi'atuta dinahara. He has to be careful. He has to pay attention. The river, if he's not careful coming in, he could get swept away. It's dangerous. So since he's in a dangerous place, lo atil hirhure. He's not going to come to hirhur, and therefore he doesn't have to be so nizhar from the negi'ah. He was washing. Right? Mabarif. Kanere, that was the case. Sheniach yadav keshaya rochetz mishum tzni'ut. Asauhu, so meaning we consider, look in Rashi, kevoleshet, asahuha, lehad Rabbi Abhu, we considered Rabbi Abu's case, boleshet is chayalot, troops, gayis haba la'ir, al shem shemechapsim ubolshim et ha'ir kari le boleshet. So they considered his case of coming up from the river where there's a danger. So then they weren't mahmir on if the guy touches. Why? Because of it's like a boleshet. He's afraid. So that's one problem. Problem number one was how could it be that he would be allowed to even touch? Because of keri. No, in this case, keri doesn't apply. He's too biflich to even come next to any hirud. Now we have a second problem. Hini, is this true? V'hamar Rabbi Abba Amar Rav Huna Amar Rav Kol hameniach et yadav keneged panav shel mata ki'ilu kofer bebrito shel Avraham Avinu. Whoever's in the bathhouse and he puts to cover it, he's embarrassed to show that he has a brit milah. You have a guy, they used to wash in those days. You can imagine it now, like, what are you talking about? But in those days, everybody used to go to bathhouses. They all used to wash. So you have all the guys there. You have all the goyim. They're all arelim. It's like the Arel Club. You have a brit milah. So it's like a guy, when he goes in the what's called, he puts on a cap. He doesn't want the people to know he's Jewish. Okay, so cap, kippah, not a kippah. Oh, he's embarrassed he's Jewish. But now you're embarrassed you have a milah? You're embarrassed that you have a brit of Avraham Avinu? Because they don't have it? You want to look like them? So you put your hand over here so nobody should see? Kol haminiach yadav keneged panav shel mata ki'ilu kofer bebrito shel Avraham Avinu. You're embarrassed that you have a brit? Lo kashya. It's not difficult. So even not in that case, even stam, you're walking out of the river. What are you embarrassed about your brit for? Lo kashya. Lo kashya.
It took me one time to decide.
Ha ki nahit, ha ki salik. When you're going down, so, okay, there's not so many people watching you. What are you covering for? Ki salik, when you're coming up, and there's a lot of people, and forget berit, it's siniyut, then it's okay to cover. Look at Rashi. Ki'ilu kofer, then it seems, shuhu bosh badavar, you're embarrassed that you have a brit milah. Nobody's joining us, okay. Ki nahid, le nahar, you can leave it on in case he wants to, because sometimes he comes at 8:10. Lenahar ki salik, when he's kinahit lenahar, when he's going into the river panav klapei nahar, he's going to the river ve'en kamishum tziniut. There's no, what's the tziniut? There's nobody there. Asul lechasoto, don't cover it. Ki salik, when he's coming up, now panav klapei am.
Don't cover it, not don't cover it.
Asur, don't cover asur to cover it. Why? What? You're showing you're embarrassed that you brit. Ki salik, when he's coming up, you're right, asur. Upanav kalape ha'am, when he's facing the people, mutar mishum tziniut. If you want to cover for tziniut, it's mutar. The Gemara says, Kiha, terava shahi. Rava, when he would come up, he would bend over to cover his brit milah. Tziniut. Rabbi Zera zakif, even coming up, he would be zakif. Tehayish lidarav shelo yireki kofer. He would stand up. He didn't want to show any embarrassment. Rabbanan de Rav Ashi, the rabbis of Rav Ashi's yeshiva, ki kanachti, when they were going down Zakfir, they would go up because of, they shouldn't be embarrassed. Ki kasalki, when they came up, shahi, they bent over because at least coming up you could be more mahmir on the tziniut. That's the story. That's the Gemara. More or less, I don't know how much it applies nowadays.
Before it applies before?
What? What? In the mikveh. So don't wear the towel, right? When you're going in. When you're coming out, you can put on the towel. Okay.
Who is going to make me for sure he's Jewish? He's going to come. Still, you may feel.
Doesn't matter. They can't be embarrassed.
Doesn't say only if there's goyim here.
No, but Rabbi, that could be tziniut.
The rabbi, where did you learn about tziniut from? From the rabbis in the Gemara. And they themselves tell you sometimes, sometimes tziniut is not called for. When it looks like you're embarrassed of the berit of Avraham Avinu, it's not called for. That's what they're talking about over here. He doesn't want to accept it. Rabbi Zera.
Personally, Rabbi, I'm not going to
You can now wear a skirt.
I
mean, you can wear a skirt.
Rabbi Zera. Let's go. Rabbi Zera. New story. It's here. Rabbi Zera.
If you're in a bathhouse of other men, you're supposed to be self-exposed, or you're supposed to try and be a little modest?
See, I don't know how to do it. We used to go in the JCH in the steam room, right? And all the older fellows, they were all basilit. It was like a minhag over there. and we were mortified. We were sitting there with our bathing suits, and we were like, we couldn't even deal with the, and they would be spritzing you with the cold hose and that. I have to take off my bathing suit to show that I'm not embarrassed. B'brito shel Avraham Avinu. I don't think so. I assume if I don't. I assume if right. No, but I assume the point is if everybody's naked and you're covering, that's a problem. If everybody's wearing a bathing suit, we're not asking you to pull it off. Rabotai, teresh ani mahu. Right? Hamahmir to show.
You have to show it again every week, or one time you show it to a Jack, we're filming. No, I know. You have to prove every week.
Listen, I don't know. I don't know. Exactly where the full halachot of this are. Let's say there's a concept, but it seems like in the mikveh also, the most obvious case would be in the mikveh. When you're going down into the pool, you shouldn't be overly tziniut because who's looking? On the way up, you want to cover yourself. That's the direct halacha. In a place everyone wears a bathing suit, you don't have to pull it down. You can get arrested too. I mean, I don't think it's always you have to show it off. In a place where everybody is like that for whatever reason, you're waiting to wash, they didn't have bathing suits, you shouldn't be overly covering it. That's the mood of the halacha. I don't know more. It's not halacha that I've well researched.
Sounds like you can't cover it with your hand, but with the towel should be fine.
I don't think it makes a difference. It's not dafka miniach yadav. It's you're showing you're embarrassed of your brit. It shouldn't look like that. There's like if it comes out that it looks like you're embarrassed of your brit, or it could be nowadays. In those days, everybody washed naked, so extra tziniut might be misinterpreted. Nowadays, that most people are embarrassed to walk around naked, even in the mikveh. People come to the mikveh, they're shocked. The first time people go to the mikveh, it's like, whoa, get me out of here. It could be that nowadays most people won't assume you're embarrassed of your brit. They'll assume that you're embarrassed of being naked. Could be. It could be that's true. I don't know. Let's go. Kika saliksha. Okay. Rabbi Zera have kamishtamit mid Rav Yehuda. Rabbi Zera was trying to avoid Rav Yehuda. Why? Rabbi Zera was planning on moving to Israel. And what? The Amar Rav Yehuda held, whoever moves from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael is going against the mitzvah. What mitzvah? Shneimar, Bavela yuvau, v'shama yiyu. It says about the kelim of the Beit HaMikdash, when Nebuchadnezzar took him, so Hashem told, if I'm not mistaken, he told Yirmiyah, Bavela yuvau v'sham yiyu ad yom pokdi otam ne'um Hashem v'ha'alitim v'ashivotim el hamakom hazeh. They're going to go to Bavel and they'll stay there until I bring them up. That was said by the first galut. And when Hashem brought them up, he told Koresh, and Koresh sent the kelim back. Until then, until the king told them to go, they weren't let it go. Meaning, the Havdil, it's like the king sends you into exile. Says, you go out. You come back when I call you. If you go back before, you're mored b'malchut. The king sent you out. We're not in galut because we asked to come to galut. We're in galut because Hashem's. We know in the end it's not Nebuchadnezzar and it wasn't Titus. It was Borei Olam punishing us. So Hashem punished us. Maybe we have to wait for him to call us back. Is that the case or not? Rav Yehuda held from this pasuk. Not only is it said about the kilim, it's said about us. You leave, you come back when I call you. I put you in timeout. You'll come out when I tell you, when I send you out. Rabbi Zera didn't hold of that. Rabbi Zera held, don't expand the pasuk. That pasuk is talking about the kilim of the Beit HaMikdash. And that's all. Look in Rashi. Mishtamit haya yareh leraot lo. He was afraid to show himself to him. Why? Because in the end, Rav Yehuda was his Rebbe. And even if he disagreed with him in the psak, Mishum davebay Rabbi Zera lemesak la radi yisel. But Rav Yehuda lo svira le. He held you're not allowed. V'yareh pen yigzor ala milelech. He'll tell him, I forbid you to go. Bavela yuval v'shamiyu v'Rabbi Zera amar lecha haykera b'chli sharet ketiv. That pasuk is in the kli sharet. Keda amrinan b'shnei dainei gezerot. Over there the Gemara goes more through this discussion at length. Anyway, so he didn't want to see it of Yehuda. It was a painful thing. Here's his Rebbe. He learned all his Torah from him. and he can't tell him goodbye, and he can't even hear some divrei Torah from him. So he said, Amar, he said, Ezi, let me go. Ve'ishma mineh milta ve'eti ve'asik. Let me at least hear some Torah from him, and I'll leave. Azal, he went to find Rav Yudah. Ashkeche dekai bebani. He found he's in the bathhouse. So you and I would have said, okay, it didn't work out. Ve'ka'amar le l'sham'eh. And he told his attendant, Havi uli neter, havi uli masrek. Bring me shampoo and bring me a comb. Not impressive so far. Pitchu pumaychu. Open your mouths. Ve'afiku havla. And therefore, and the heat will come out of your body. Ve'ishtu, and drink. Mimaya de bebani, from the bathwater. Amar, he says, Ilmale lo bati ela lishmoa davar ze dayai. If I only came to hear this, it would be enough. What do you hear? Bring the shampoo, pass the comb, and what's so impressive? Now you'll hear how the Bizerah hears things from the Rebbe. Yes. Wait. Everything is coming, don't worry. Bishlama, haviu neter, haviu masrek. Bishlama, if it says haviu masrek, haviu neter, haviu masrek. Oh, that's easy. That's a big chidush. What's the big chidush? Kamash malan, tivarim shel hol, mundane things, mutar le'omram belashon hakodesh. You're allowed to say it in Hebrew. We thought you're only allowed to say divrei kodesh in Hebrew.
Oh, in general.
How could that be? Here the Gemara says it's a chidush. You didn't even think there was a question. That's because we don't appreciate how holy Lashon HaKodesh really is.
Because they were only speaking Aramaic.
They spoke Aramaic regularly. When they wanted to talk holy, they spoke in Hebrew. So, but we don't understand that Lashon HaKodesh really is Kadosh. So we can't imagine. What's the problem? It's Hebrew, Rabbi. It's Hebrew. No, it's Lashon HaKodesh. Maybe you only use Lashon. Harambam writes, some of it is, maybe some of it isn't. I don't know. But that's a different question. The first question is, let's assume that we have the Rambam writes that they use in all the Sephardic countries, even they wouldn't use regular block letter Hebrew for mundane things at all, because there's a kedusha in the letters.
I thought it was in the context of a bathhouse versus a bathroom versus.
No. Mutalo omram belashon hakodesh. Then he told them, Pitchu pumaychu. Open your mouths, va'afiku havla, and let the heat come out. Kedeshmuel, the Amar Shmuel, havla mafik havla. When you open your mouth and you breathe in the steamy hot air in the bathhouse, that will cause you to sweat faster. You'll get the sweat out, which will get out all the toxins. Ela, but ishtu maya de bebani. Drink the water of the bathhouse. Maima al yuta. What's so good about that? Says the Gemara de Tanya. We learned. Achal velo shata. If he ate and he didn't drink, achilato dam. He's eating blood. Vezeo tchilat holi me'ayim. Rashi says, I shouldn't say. I think achilato dam means that it's like he's eating blood that's going to cause him to bleed when he goes to the bathroom. It's going to bring on stomach issues. Vezeo tchilat holi me'ayim. That's the beginning of stomach sickness. Achal, if he ate, velo halach dalet amot. If he ate and then he went to sleep without walking 4 amot, he had dinner in bed and he went to sleep. 4 amot, at least. Patience. Everybody has to be patient. Achilato markevet. The food is going to rot. It's not going to digest properly. Vezeo tehilat reach ra. And that causes your body to start to stink. Hanitzrach lenekava ve'ochel. If someone needs to go to the bathroom and instead of doing that he goes and he eats, Tomer letanur, it's like an oven. Shehisiku al gabe efro. It's like you're putting the new wood on top of the ashes. Just it doesn't burn well, so too your body doesn't digest well. Vezeo techilat reach zohama. That's another bad smell that you get. Causes your bakol gufo masim. Rashi says the first reach ra is bad breath. And reach zohama, your whole body smells. Rahatz behamin, if he washed in hot water, v'lo shatamim, and he didn't drink from them, domeh letanur, it's like an oven. Shehesiku mi bachutz, that they warmed it on the outside, v'lo yesiku mi bifnim, and they didn't warm it up on the inside.
You have to drink hot water after you take shower.
In the bath.
What do you mean?
Hot water, not the big
Rashi. V'lo yesiku mi bifnim. She'enu metiv leklum. If you want to bake something and you heat the oven from the outside, it's not going to get hot. It's not getting hot. So, they had clay ovens. So you could either put the coals inside or you put the coals outside. If you put the coals outside, it's not really getting hot inside. What? Mulyar. It's not so hot. Yeah.
So you're telling me that hot shower.
You should drink some of the hot water. That's what he's telling you.
Rinse your inside also, yeah?
I don't know if it's rinsing. I think it's to heat up your insides.
Nobody wants to do that.
Now, I always had a question. So how are you making a beracha on the water?
This is not for a...
I'm not thirsty. I don't have to make a beracha. No, but and let's say you are thirsty.
You drink hot water?
Chinese only drink hot water. If you ask for a cup of water, they give it to you boiling hot.
Spoke about aside from this.
They don't drink cold water there.
No, it's not brought down la halacha. It might be brought down as a good advice.
Good advice to drink hot water in the shower.
In the bath, yeah.
Actually, hot water is anytime.
Not from the main, not chlorinated. Let's go. Rahatz.
So I have to put a filter on my shower.
Rahatz behamin. Rahatz behamin. Rahatz behamin. If he washed himself, if you don't have to drink the shower water, you could take a cup of tea too.
Shower?
Before, after. Rahatz behamin. Jack has in his bathroom, he has the Insta Hudson. Rahatz. Rahatz velo sach. If he washed and he didn't. No, sorry. Rahatz behamin. If he washed in hot water. Velo nishtatef betzonin. Thank you. And he didn't wash himself in cold water. Domeh lebarzel shechnisu laur. It's like iron that they put in the fire. Velo chnisu letzonin. And they didn't put it in cold water after. When you want to temper metal, you stick it, you heat it up, and then you fast put it into cold water, and it gets strong. That's called tempering the metal. If you put if you put it in hot and you don't temper it, you weakened it. Adraba, you made it weaker. Domele lebarzel shechnisu laor velo chnisu letzonin. So I can tell you two things about this from practical experience. One is, if you take a hot shower and you don't end off with cold, you wind up getting colder afterwards. Because all the pores are open, the heat goes out, and so on. Second of all, the naturalist doctors will tell you that it's a good shock for your immune system when you put on, if you really put cold water, it shocks the immune system into working. They recommend it very strongly.
The end of the shower, right?
You ever went to those freezing ice cold?
You crazy?
That's what they have it for.
The end of the shower, just did that for 5 seconds.
It's crazy.
It's the best.
The one spoon, then you go into the hot right away.
Right. Let's do the opposite, hot and then cold.
Cold.
Okay.
Whatever.
Hot, cold. Hot, and then you end off the shower with at least cool yourself down. It's not good to come out steaming hot. You keep the heat. You keep the heat inside. Rahatz velo sach. If he washed and he didn't smear himself with oil, domeh lemayim al gabe havit. Rashi says it's like if there's only, you have the top of the barrel and it has water in it, right? So how much water is there? It's nothing. Didn't get in. So too, you didn't get, I don't know, something, you didn't get it into your body. You need to get the moisture in your body. I guess you have to, that's what he says. It's healthy. I know. I don't either. I'm just telling you, but it's good. Okay. Mulyara Garuf. Now we get into where's that picture book? Do we have the picture book? See it around? This one needs a picture. Mulyara Garuf. Maybe he's going to find it. Mulyara Garuf. Shotin himenu b'Shabbat. Antichi afapi shegaruf and shotin himenu b'Shabbat. Right? So you have two different types of pots. One of them One of them you're allowed to drink from. Oh, there it is, Jimmy. On top of Soli's head. You see on top of Soli on the shelf? Lying down, Soli, lying down. It's not there, it's not on the top there. That's not Penei Shabbat, Soli? No, I want Penei Shabbat, the pictures. So, okay. So I always explain mulyar is a kangaroo pot. What does it mean, a kangaroo pot? Pot. You know how the kangaroo, it has the pouch over here? So you have a pot, it has a pouch in the front, and you put coals in. Picture the that's how they had it. They didn't have plug-in urns. I know. So you make the pot, you put a little pouch in the front, you stick coals in, it keeps the whole thing warm. That's a mulyar. So, metal. Whatever the pot's made of, the pouch is made of. Whatever. Probably clay. Whatever. Mulyar garuf, shotin himenu b'Shabbat. You could drink from it. If you swept out the coals, then you're allowed to drink from it. Masha'enkin, if the coals are there, then shemi hatebeg halim. Antichi is another type of pot. Alpha pisha girufa, even though you swept out the coals, and shotin himeni, you can't drink from it. So the Gemara says, Heichi dami mulyar hagaruf. What's a mulyar that's garuf? Tana, we learned, mayim mibifnim v'gehalim mibachutz. There's water on the inside and coals on the outside, like we said. Antichi, what's the antichi? Rabba amar bekire. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak amar bedudi. So let's see Rashi now. Mulyar garuf, that you swept it out min gehalim from the coals mi be'od yom before Shabbat. Shotim, you're allowed to drink mi memav from its waters b'Shabbat on Shabbat. Ve'af al pi shehu hamu ketzat mehamat keli, even though they got somewhat warm from the keli on Shabbat. Lefi she'enu mosif aval. Rashi's back to his hatvana business here, because it's not adding heat. Ela mishamer umekayem hom shelaim. It's keeping the heat there. Shelo yitztanenu. The Gemara mefaresh. The Gemara explains, mulyar mayim mibifnim is water on the inside, v'gehalim mibachutz, and the coals are on the outside. And he explains more. Keli sheyesh lo yesh bo bet kibul katan. It has a small receptacle. Etzel dofno mibachutz, by the wall on the outside, mehubar lo, attached to it. V'noten sham gehalim, and he puts coals in there. V'hamayim, and the water, b'kibulo agadol, is in the big pocket. That's Rashi. V'rabotenu mefarshim, the rabbis explain differently. Mulyar shne shulayim, that the mulyar has a double bottom. Easier case. You have a pot, has a bottom. Underneath it, there's another section with another bottom. So you put the coals in the bottom section, and it heats up the pot. Beautiful. Okay? Right? Ve'antichi bedude. Antichi is what you call bedude mechitza bentayim. You have the coals on this pot. You have one pot, split in the middle, coals here, water there. Veli nire lehepech, says Rashi, I disagree. I think it's the opposite. Why does it say water inside and coals outside? It should have said water on top, coals on the bottom. Ve'od, tinhushta detani be'antichi lashon shulayim. Later on in the Gemara uses the lashon nihushta, sounds like a bottom. Ve'hen omrim lashon nihoshet. They say no, it means that it's made of copper. And copper is worse than heres. Okay, we'll see. So you have the mulyar, Rashi says, Rashi learns that the mulyar, the coals are on the side, in this kangaroo pocket, and the antichi, the coals are on the bottom. That's how Rashi learns. So we say, Tana mulyar mayim mibifnim v'gehalim mibachutz. It's a place where they put the water inside, and the coals outside in the kangaroo pouch. Antichi, Rab Amar Bekiri, look in Rashi, Halal yesh bekira, etzel halaleha, shagehalim bo, umayim nitunim behalala sheni. So he says, if you buy a kira, you go to the kira store, they tell you want the regular version or the deluxe version. So what's the deluxe version? Oh, on the deluxe version, we have a built-in hot water tank. So you fill up with hot water, and you have automatic hot water for the whole Shabbat. Oh, wow, give me the deluxe version. So as you're baking your bread, on this side, there's a little area that you fill up with hot water. That's bekire. Halal yesh bekira. There's a hole in the kira. Etzel halaleha. She'agehalim bo. Umayim and water netunim behalala sheni. Ve'afagav de dami lemulyar, even though it's like a mulyar. Miu kira. So since even though it's on the side, why should it be different? It's on the side. The other one's on the side. The other one you said when you take out the coals it's mutar. This one you tell me when you take out the coals it's asur. Because kira dofne ha'av, the walls are thick. Ve'aur tadir betocha kol yemot ha'chol, and you were heating it up all week. Ve'dofna ha'meot, so the walls have a lot of absorbed heat. Umosif haval b'mayim. Even though you swept it out. So it's going to add a lot of heat. There's too much absorbed heat there. That's what Rabbi says. Right? Rav Nachman Bar Yitzchak says, Bedude. Rashi. Yora gedola. A dud is a pot. Right? I check. Dud is a pot. Dud is a pot. Right? Bedude. Yore gedola, a big pot. Osim lashte shulaim, they make two bottoms. So dude, it's like a double pot, double boiler. V'notnim gehalim ben shlim, you put coals in the bottom. V'amayim ala elyonim. So the Gemara says like this: Manda amar bedude, the one that says that the bedude, the double bottom pot is asur to put water, to use the water from because it's too hot. Kol shekem bekiri, certainly the pot built into the kira, which is much hotter. Umanda amar bekiri, the one that says the kira, the one built into the kira, bedude lo, it's not so hot. Tanya Kavateh de Rav Nachman, who says bedude that it's a double pot and pot. Antichi afopishe gerufa uktuma en shotim memeni, you can't drink from it. Mepene shenehushta mehamemata, because the nehoshet, because its bottom heats it up. So according to Rashi, that says it's a bottom, says the bottom heats it up. According to the ones that say it's because it's made of copper, a kira wasn't made of copper. A pot would be made of copper. Either way, it proves that even this double pot, bottom pot is asur. Every time I learn this Mishnah, it always bothers me. So, what's the problem if the water is hot or cold? I mean, there's no gehalim. If there's no, what am I going to do wrong? So Rashi understands it's a hatmana, which all the rest of the Rishonim threw out. Nobody accepts it. Right.
Can't you say that if the water gets to a certain level, it's going to evaporate?
Hazal Baruch. So then it's not, you're not. It's in from before Shabbat.
No, but it's not cold water. It's not cold. It stays hot 24 hours, Rabbi?
So Tosafot learns, yeah, it stays hot. Or maybe until it gets cool, but in the beginning. Tosafot learns like this. Tosafot learns that it's shotim mimenu means they didn't drink plain hot water. They would use it to dilute the wine. They would like to drink hot wine. So they diluted their wines anyway, and they diluted it with hot water. Yeah, that's what they liked. So if you're going to put the hot water into the wine, it's going to cook the wine. It's so hot it will even cook the wine. Masha'en came from the mulyara garuf. It's not so hot, so the wine won't cook. The antichi, it's hotter, you'll cook the wine. It's also hidush because you're putting it into another keli in the klishini. It's going to cook the wine, so now it depends how hot the water coming out of my urn is. If I can put it into other water, it's difficult. The truth is, it's funny. The Rambam doesn't even quote this whole lot. It's called Mishnah. He quotes everything. He doesn't quote it. I guess he felt that those kelim we don't have, and the Ran quotes it a little bit differently. The Ran is easier to work with, easier to understand. Here the Ran says, ונראה לי דהיינו טעמה דשריותא דמולייר ואיסורא דאנטיחי, משום דקיים עלם, we hold כלי ראשון מבשל, כלי ראשון cooks, וכלי ראשון היינו שעומד על גבי האור, the pot that's on the fire, שהוא מבשל, אפילו לאחר שהעבירו משם, even if you took it off. והשמועינן תנא, so the Tana's teaching us, דמולייר, אף על פי שהגחלים סמוכים לקיבולו הגדול, even though it has coals next to it, לא מקרה כלי ראשון. It's not a כלי ראשון because it wasn't on the fire, it was next to the fire. כיוון שאין אותו קיבול גדול עומד על הגחלים. אבל אנטיחי, כיוון שקיבולו הגדול עומד על הגחלים, since its main chamber is on top of the coals, הווה לכלי ראשון. ועדיף נמי מיניה, because it's one keli, so it's not that it was standing on the fire. It is the fire's in it. It's even worse.
Encapsulated within.
Right. So the pot is even hotter. It got more direct exposure to the heat. Whatever. So that's really what the Ran is saying. The Ran is saying that shotim mimena means could you put water in it to warm up? The mulyar you could put water in it to warm up because it's not really a kli rishon, it's a kli sheni. Whereas the antichi is considered a kli rishon. That's why the Ran learns that's an easy system. Hameham Mishnah. Hameham shepinahu. So you have a meham is a pot of Rashi, kumkumus shil hamin. You have a pot of hot water. Shepinahu, that you emptied it. Now, the Gemara is going to give us two ways to understand shepinahu. You can understand shepinahu that you spilled out the water, or shepinahu that you took the pot off the fire. You emptied the pot off the fire. Lo yiten letochot zonem b'shvil sheyehamu. You can't put cold water into it so it should heat up. Again, because you're putting it into a kli rishon. Aval notenu letocho or letoch hakos kedei lavshiran. But you could put cold water into here or into a cup, which is a kli sheni, kedei lavshiran, in order to take out the chill. You could put cold water into this pot or into a cup. In the first one, I want to heat it up. And in the second one, I want to take out the chill. No, actually what you're going to do, let's see. No, I'm going to do it in a way that it's only going to come to take out the chill. Right? My Kamar, what's the Mishnah saying? Amar of Ada Barmad Nahachi Kamar. Hameham, a hot water pot. Shepinahu means shepina mimenu mayim, that you empty the water out of it. Lo yiten letocho mayim mu'atim. Don't put a little bit of water into it. Kedeshi hamu, so it should get hot. Because a little bit of water, there's enough heat in this pot. If you put a small amount of water, it will actually make it yatzoleded bo. There's enough heat built in there. Pinami menu mayim. I spilled out the water. Aval noten letocho mayim mirubim. But if you want to put a lot of water in the pot, it's okay. Kedei lavshiran, because it's not going to make it hot. We'll take out the chill. I have really cold water. Put it in a very hot pot. We'll take out the chill. Vahalo mitzaref. Isn't he tempering the pot? Like we said before. When you really heat up metal and then you quickly chill it, that tempers it. Tempering lechaora is a gmar melacha. That's the finishing process of a keli. So maybe he's tempering the pot. Rashi v'alo mitzaref keshekli matechet ham. When you heat up a metal keli, v'noten letochot sonen, and then you put cold into it, mahazikim et keli. You're strengthening the keli. V'zuhi gemar melechet hatzorfim. That's the finishing touch of smelters. Sheritichat ta'ur mefa'fa'ato. The heat of the fire weakens it. V'karov li shaver. It could break. V'amayim, and the cold water mitzarfim pi apu'av. Soldir bila'az. It's like soldering, I guess.
But once it's already made, I mean...
I heard it one time, once they do it, that's it, you can't do that.
What?
You put something on top of it.
Yeah, once it's
I don't know. It's a good question. It's a good question. Could you do it more than one time? In Rashi doesn't tell you anything about it already being mitzuraf, that would make a difference. In the Ramban, in the Milhamot, if I'm not mistaken, he says that if it was already happened to it, it wouldn't be mitzaref. But it could be that maybe they didn't do it yet or whatever.
Heat, it's not so hot.
That's another question. Gemara says,
Thousands of degrees for
no.
100 degrees.
No,
A little bit more, can you get water?
Rashi's look in Tosfot, Jack, look in the top Tosfot. You're watching too many of those YouTube videos about Tziruf.
I tell you.
Yeah. What?
When I was young, when my father used to see it, I was in the gold, they put it inside, thousands of degrees, Rabbi.
V'halom etzaref, v'leke l'shnuye. Don't answer me, b'shelo yigia l'tziruf. That it wasn't that hot, so therefore putting in the cold water is not tziruf. Kedemishani beperek amar le'memuneh. Destam meham yigia l'tzirufu. Average time, it already got to a point of tziruf. Maybe it's not the full tziruf like your father did with the gold, but it was enough that it was when you put it in the cold, it's considered tziruf. You're talking about the best. We're talking about the minimum.
when he wants to scratch your name on it, put somebody's name on it.
Not even you can bend it. If you touch it, you bend. It's not so hard.
Gold is a stronger metal. It's not gold. Gold is stronger.
Gold is softer. Yeah, sure.
Gold is soft. Pure gold is soft. Davar shemet kaven, says Gemara, v'alo metzaref. So Gemara answers Rabbi Shimoni. He goes like Rabbi Shimon. Amar davar she'er mitkaven mutar. It's not mitkaven, it's mutar. I'm not intending to make tziruf. I'm intending to chill the water. Now, you could ask, is it a psik reisha? Elamai, you have to say it's not for sure. It's not for sure. Amar Matkif la Abaya. Abaya asked on this statement. You're learning that when the Mishnah says Hameham shepinahu, it means that he took the water out. Midi meham shepina mimenu ma'im katani. Does it say in meham that he put out the water? Meham shepinahu katani. He took it off. He emptied it, meaning he emptied it off of where it was. Abba, what are you doing? It's not recording? Shepina mimenu ma'im. Why not? That's not. So why we touch it? I'll pull it from here, maybe. Let's record this. Has nothing to do with the Wi-Fi. Okay, let's go. So we say Hameham. So he said, is it? So, no. He's saying Pinahu is you took it off. Pina mimenu mayim, pina mimenu. So he thinks the dikduk is incorrect. So therefore he says, Ela pinahu, you took it off. Ela amar Abaya hachi kamar. Hameham shepinahu, you took it off the fire. V'yesh bo mayim hamin, and there's hot water still in it. Lo yiten letocho mayim mu'atim. So it's not full. Don't put a little bit of water in. Bishvil shi'homu, because then you put a little bit of cold water in a sizable amount of hot water. There's hot water inside. The hot water will cook the cold water right away. That's the problem with turning on the hot water on Shabbat. Because when you turn on the hot water on Shabbat, cold water goes into the tank and right away gets heated. It's automatic. Forget turning on the fire. The cold water goes in, gets heated. That's what's causing it. So that's lo yiten letocho mayim mu'atim b'shvil shi'homu. Aval noten letocho mayim mirubim. If you pour a lot of water in, it's just going to become warm. Kedei lafshiram. Even though you're pouring it into a kli rishon, it won't mivashel, because a lot of water it won't.
You're overwhelming the hot water with cold. So you can't get that hot.
I told you, forget, I'm not turning it on. Forget turning on the fire.
Right?
If the fire never turns on, the first water goes in, gets cooked. Gets cooked. That's all. Forget turning on the fire. I'm not interested in that. The fire never turns on. You have a whole thing of hot water. You put a little cold water in. The hot water is going to heat up the cold water. No fire. It's very different. You're thinking, when is it going to turn on? I'm causing. It's not a direct reaction. Forget that. No direct reaction. The direct reaction is the water goes in, the pot, it gets cooked. Doesn't need any causes. You follow? It's very clear. Let's see. לא ייתן לתוכו מים מועטים בשביל שיחומו, אבל נותן לתוכו מים מרובין כדי להפשירן. You could put in a lot of water just to take out the chill. ומחם שפינה ממנו מים, if you have a hot water pot that you took the water out, לא ייתן לתוכו מים. So meaning, the Mishnah is talking המחם שפינהו, that I took it off the fire and it still has water in. Over there we say a lot of water is mutar, a little bit water is asur. But if you have a meham that you took the water out, why am I not talking about that? Because it's always asur. You know why? Because it's going to temper it. And even though that's not my intention, even though my intention is really just to warm up the water, not because it's psigresha. Rabbi Yehudahi, the Mishnah is going like Rabbi Yehuda.
You're not allowed to cook water?
No, of course you're not allowed to cook water.
But water doesn't really cook.
We hold it's cooking. When you heat up water to Yad Soleded, it's called cooking.
People have a pot on the stove all Shabbat.
They're not cooking anything. Can't refill it.
But you can't refill it.
I put it on before Shabbat. What do you want? It's like you're cholent.
If you add water to it,
Asur.
asur.
Yes.
But you're cooking the water yet.
Correct. Like you're cooking the water that goes into the boiler tank when you turn on your water. Exactly the same. So, other people. That was yesterday. מפני שמצרף. ורבי יהודה היא, דאמר דבר שמתכוון אסור. אמר Rav says, לא שנו אלא להפשיר, אבל לצרף אסור. What does he mean? Rav says the Mishnah only said, אבל נותן לתוכו כדי להפשירן. You could put water in the pot to make hefsher. Aval etzaref, but to temper the pot is asur. V'shmuel amar, Shmuel says, afilu letzaref nami mutar. You even allowed to temper the pot. Letzaref lechatchila mi shari? Well, what's Shmuel saying? You're allowed to temper pots? Well, maybe you should open the store too. Ela, we have to say it a little bit differently. We have to rephrase their statements. Amar Rav, lo shanu ela shi'ur lehafshir. How much water could you put in the pot? Enough to warm up the water, but not enough that it will temper it. Meaning, if I put a medium amount of water, if I put a little water in the pot, right, then it will get very hot. It will boil. It will get yad soleded boil. That's cooking. That's asur. If I put in a sizable amount of water, it'll get to 70 degrees, let's say, 80 degrees. Be nice, warm water. You won't feel freezing when you put your hands in it. Good. It's not going to temper the pot either. 70-degree water is not tempering pots. Need cold. If I fill up the pot to the top, now it's not really going to do much of a job taking the chill out. That amount of water could actually temper the pot. So Rav says when you empty the water out of the pot, you could put it, we said, a little water you can't put. A lot of water you could put. Rav says, not so. Don't go. You think if a lot is better than a little, then maybe a ton is better than a lot? No. Too much is no good either. Why? You'll temper it. Because Rav, temper, it strengthens it. Yeah. It strengthens it. Right? Ela shi'ur lehavshir. Aval shi'ur letzaref. If you put in enough water that it will cool down the pot fast enough to temper it, that's asur. Every pot is different, Jack. Go, speak to your father. Right? Lo shanu. That's right. Lo shanu ela shi'ur lehavshir. Every pot is different. Habub, what do you want to say?
Half, quarter, 3/4.
Every pot is different.
So what's the halakha?
You got to go figure it out in every pot. We're giving you the rules.
Give me what?
We're giving you the rules. Take these rules and apply them to your pots. The rule is if you're going to temper it, it's asur. Aval shi'ur litzaref. But if the
that's going to temper it. It's going to make it stronger than what it is.
part of the metal making process is tempering. He asked the question before. Once it's tempered, is there retempering? I think it's a mahloket, but I'm not sure. I'm telling you honestly. Could be yes, could be no. In the Ramban, it's mashma. Once it's tempered, there's no retempering. It could be over here we're talking about a pot that wasn't necessarily tempered. It could be if you know it was tempered, it doesn't make a difference. It could be that Rashi sounds like, you know, when you buy a cast iron, when you buy a Farberware pot, it's fully ready to go. You buy a cast iron pot, which is what their pots were. You have to. There's a whole seasoning process. Speak to Yehuda.
These pots are already Teflon coated.
I'm talking about your pot. Let's put yourself back 1900 years and let's start talking. They have a cast iron pot. It wasn't you bought it from Macy's. You bought it from the guy down the block who made it yesterday. It needs tempering. Right? It's not the same. But again, I'm not sure if there's retempering or not. In Rashi, it sounds like every time you heat up the pot, it needs tempering to do it right. There was special care instructions on the pot. Not like us, we throw the instructions in the garbage as soon as we open the thing. Special instructions. When you heat it, make sure you cool it in cold water. Okay. Aval shi'ur letzaref asur, because Rav holds like Rav Yehuda. Look in Rashi. Ela shi'ur lafshir. Enough to take the chill out of the water. Velo letzaref. But not enough to be mitzaref it. Why? Shelo mil'u kulo. Don't fill it all the way. V'rav. Mash malei pinau kiravada. He's not like a bay. He's understanding pinau to mean you poured out the water. Shepina mimenu hamin. V'shmuel amar Shmuel says, afilu shi'ur litzaref mutar. You even allowed to put enough water to temper it. Why? Because that's not what you're thinking about. Not when Shmuel says afilu litzaref mutar. He didn't mean put it in and say, "Oh, honey, good, great, I'm tempering it today." That's asur. You put it in to warm the water. If it tempers, it tempers. Why? Mutar she'en mitkaven lekach. It's a davar she'en mitkaven, and he's being posek like Rabbi Shimon. Ad kan. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen.
When you put the first few drops, they're not cooking?
No, because it mixes all together. No, you got poured in.
Yes, cast iron skillet and stuff, you have to prep them. The heavy duty, the real stuff.
Needs work after you buy, unless you buy a pre-seasoned, and then it's probably treif.
Right. You have to season it. It's a whole process, yeah.